It's me again. I always laugh when people talk about white privilege. Privilege is making a grown-ass man drive 20 minutes to deliver me a cappuccino. Sometimes I think I have more money than sense. Anyway, today's topic is a sort of awkward, uncomfortable one, and it's been inspired by some inbox messages that I received from someone. I get a lot of girls inboxing me to share their stories, and a lot of them make me very angry. And I mean, I feel like the system is sort of rigged, isn't it? It's in favor of people who are privileged, and to me that seems very, very unfair. I mean, I couldn't even understand the scope of this story of someone who has spent 5 years trying to get any sort of justice for their abuser, and the system has just continually failed them. And it's very heartbreaking for me, because if I look at my story, I spoke about my when I posted about the cleaner who raped me at Trinity House around Parkridge about a month and a half ago, on the 16th of June. Within a week, a case had been opened. A week later, the sergeant in charge of my case had contacted me to get more details. Last week, he was arrested. They didn't even take a statement before they arrested him. They arrested him and then called me in to get a statement. So for me, when people are talking about consistently going to the police with information and concerns and just being shut down or being told that they can't be helped, that makes me very upset. But anyway, that's not the topic of today's video. Incest is a very tricky thing, though, isn't it? It's hi. It's very taboo. I feel like something that is spoken about, but considering that I think it's over 90% of children who are raped by someone that they know, I feel like it should get a lot more traction than it does. I'll start off with my own personal story. I was raped and molested by my uncle, my maternal uncle. Okay, so what happened was he was unemployable for a very long time, and my dad sort of took pity on him and offered him and his friends to come be our garden service. So it was like once a week. It was like on a Monday they would come and do the garden, and then that's when I was first molested at the age of 3 by my uncle, and they sort of just took turns raping me. Fun times for a 3-year-old. On a sort of weekly basis for about 2 years. And then I started nursery school, and I started learning words and started sort of being able to describe what was being done to me. Another thing I'd just like to point out is to parents how vitally important it is to teach your children the words of their sexual organs, the proper words for it. A vagina is a vagina, and a penis is a penis, and your boobs are your boobs. Don't make up funny names like butterfly or hose pipe or any of those funny things, because you're disabling your child from being able to tell what's actually being done to them. And what my uncle called it was playing toys, and he said that girls had a toy and a boy had a toy, and when they loved each other, their toys played together. So me trying to now describe this to adults, sorry, I don't know why the heater's on, it's so hot. So I would just say to people, my uncle and his friends play toys with me and I don't like it. And now, of course, to an adult, this makes absolutely no sense. Nobody's mind is immediately going to go there like, oh, shame, this child's being raped. So, like, I told my nursery school teacher that my uncle and his friends play toys with me and I don't like it, and she sort of just brushed it off. And then I eventually learned enough English to tell a mate of mine in school what was going on, and she said that's not okay, and the next time they do that to you, you must bite it off. And now I was about 5, I think, and this had been going on for 2 years already. And so the next time they tried to play toys with me, I bit off one of their fingers. It was 4 or 5. That's pretty badass, even if I do say so myself. Anyway, so that's the last time they came to our garden. Unfortunately for me, sort of every second weekend, my parents would go away and they'd leave us at my grandmother's house where my uncle was, which gave him access to me. And so then it began sort of every second weekend I was still being raped. It then escalated to the point, because obviously now I'd lost him his job, obviously, right, my fault. So he started to sell me for drugs and alcohol, because he was sort of a heavy drug user and an alcoholic. So yeah, he would prostitute me in the township for money for drugs and alcohol, and he'd pay me in sweets. So that happened for 2 years. And then when I was 7, my mum caught him raping me, and she said if he ever does it again, she will call the police. Now, the problematic thing with this is that when it comes to family, people are so much more reluctant to do something. And I see, Melanie, you said you deal with it privately, but I don't agree with that at all. I really don't. This thing of keeping, like, not airing your dirty laundry in public, or keeping it in the family, or dealing with it internally, it doesn't work, because essentially what happened is they protected my uncle at the expense of myself and my well-being. So nothing was done. I saw no justice for that at all. And by dealt with, they just meant that I stopped going to my grandmother's house. So that for me was my story of incest. And it's very sad how common these kinds of stories are, and how victims are made to feel ashamed, or if they speak out, they are ostracized, cut off by their families, and just not believed. And what's weird is, like, to me, what kind of child would make up this kind of story? Like, what do I gain by lying about the fact that my uncle is sexually abusing me? Sorry, that for me is the worst part of it. And I don't understand the culture of silence around incest, because it happens so much more often than people are willing to admit that it does. I can probably say that at least every girl I know has a creepy uncle or cousin or something that has been known to sexually abuse other members of the other, like, children in the family. The fact that you would have to warn your child, like, oh, don't hang around him, like, that already shows a problem. And for me, I know bloody well that it cannot only have been me that he raped. And so we perpetuate the problem by perpetuating the silence. And for me, that is really not okay. I know people who have been raped by their fathers and their brothers and cousins, and it's all just this dark family secret. I feel like the only way to deal with this sort of thing is to bring it out into the light. And this whole Me Too thing I really love, because it has shown me that it's not just me. Like, I'm not this outlier, this creep, this weirdo who had this unique, rare experience. It's something that is so experienced, so widespread, and it's so ingrained into this family culture of silence that victims really have nowhere to speak to. And if you say this should be kept in the family, but you're in a family where nobody believes you, then where do you get your justice from? You have to go to the police. And it's not a family matter. It's a criminal act. It's criminal. It's like, if you steal, the store doesn't go, oh, we'll deal with it between us. No, the store calls the cops and said, listen, this person has been shoplifting. And I don't see why it would be any different if you are a victim of incest. And this is actually something I read, that it is learned behavior. So it's not just one person that just suddenly decided to become a rapist within the family. It's built upon generations and generations of silence, and this is another massive problem that I have with it, obviously, that if 4 generations ago someone had said something, I may have been spared this massive trauma. And interesting, my brother was reading the other day about about memory and what's the earliest memory you can have, and it said around about the ages of 3. But if something traumatic happens to you, your mind is able to blank that. Up until the age of about 7, you can have amnesia. And for me, that's so unfortunate, because obviously the abuse happened to me beginning at the age of 3 and ending at the age of 7, so I don't have a lot of memory of it. What I do know is that it happened, and for me that's enough. Enough to break the silence and be like, this is absolute bullshit. And I hope that in speaking out against it, more victims will see that there is really nothing wrong in speaking your truth, and that speaking your truth can save future generations the same trauma. So just break the culture of silence. What has silence ever gained anyone? Always speak your truth. The truth will only hurt people that are guilty. I found that my truth only offends the members of the family that knew and did nothing about it, because now they can be publicly judged instead of me seeming like the bad person who's trying to ruin the family. No, it's not me that ruined the family. Sorry, it was my uncle. I'm just I'm just speaking my truth, and I hope that somewhere inside of all of you, you can find it within yourselves to speak your truth as well, because when you keep quiet about it, it's you that's taken on all the damage. It's you that's suffering with this burning secret that just feels like coal in your lungs that you just need to get out. And I find that the more I speak, the more liberated I feel. Every time I share my story, I feel a bit lighter, because I'm no longer bound by the secret that I never asked to be a part of to begin with. This is not my secret, it's their failure. And the more I illuminate their failure, the more I think people will understand that this is not okay. That there's nothing wrong with telling the truth and seeking justice, because in that you will find your freedom. And I think I will end it there. Incest is not okay. Incest is not a family problem. It's a criminal problem. Never be afraid to speak your truth. And I hope you all have a lovely day further. Thank you for listening.